What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Breakdown Sportscast. I'm your good friend and host, Kory Willis. Hope everyone out there is doing well on a Friday, getting set for a week six of college football coming your way out there, guys. So overall, I hope you guys are, getting your projects and all of your work duties out of the way as you're getting ready for a great weekend of college football out there with your friends and family. So, yeah, overall, I hope everyone is doing well today. As always, guys, we appreciate you guys listening to the show. You know where to find us. We're on multiple social media applications. Of course, definitely follow us on X, Instagram, TikTok, at BD Sportscast. You can find our content there. If you want to listen to all of our past and present episodes of the Breakdown Sportscast, you can listen to us on a bevy of podcast apps. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're listening to us on our Sunday live shows, on our live streams, we appreciate it. You can listen to us here on our official YouTube channel, or you can listen to us on our official Twitch channel at Breakdown Video Game Cast. So yeah, guys, definitely like, comment, and subscribe to the video, to our channels. Of course, it's definitely helping out Chris and I as we continue to grow this community with you good folks out there. So yeah, definitely, guys, be sure to do all of that great stuff going forward. So yeah, as always, you know who I'm with. I'm with my good friend and co-host. He is Chris Bolton. Chris, what's going on, man?
Hey, nothing much was going on, Kory. You know, your boy's feeling good. Like you said, week 6. It seemed like we just started the season. It was just week 0. Now we already at week 6. So it's things have gotten real. You know, we have learned a lot about these teams, and now I feel like this is that point in the season, Kory, where coaches they look at their team and they're like, all right, like this is who we are. We got to bunker down, gentlemen. Like the ride's about to get real bumpy. You're in the thick of conference play. You can't take any weekend for granted. And if you made any mistakes before, it's time to right your wrongs going forward. So this is go time for real.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Chris. Look, me and you had talked about this ad nauseum. It was like once it gets around midway point to the season, you start to find out who are the pretenders and the contenders of college football. So yeah, I think now at this point we're about to see that. We've kind of already started to see it, but for the most part, there's no time for just kind of lollygagging around. If you're a team that's trying to really do something this season, you got to win now, and you really got to show improve every week because teams out there they're gunning for each other. And there's going to be no room for rest and relaxation in any of these Power Four conferences, and even the Group of Five conferences. You got to win now. So yeah, that's where we're at
Yeah,
in the point
you
of the
know,
season.
definitely. It's a interesting weekend in the fact that I feel like there's of course we do have the marquee matchup of the old rivalry that we grew up loving, and Florida State Miami. You know that should be that's gonna be a big time matchup. But other than that, it's like some games that we thought would be big in the preseason that still will be entertaining just for different reasons now, Kory. And then we got a couple games that we maybe on the preseason docket you try to already chalk them up as a dub, and now we look at it like, what's going to happen in this one? So it's not your typical, bam, you got top team versus top team going up against each other, and it's like 4 or 5 of those matchups because we just had that the past weekend. It's a little different this weekend, but I still feel like there's a lot in store that could pop off and end up surprising a lot of people.
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting week, a sneaky week, where you could potentially see some teams do that. I mean, this isn't like last week. This is a different week per se in terms of marquee matchups, but this week does have some sneaky good games that could really open the eyes of college football fans out there. They're not too careful in seeing, what we've been seeing so far this season.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is one of those weeks where you can't, be sleep at the wheel. You're gonna have to really, as a team, like I said, you're gonna have to really be, up, ready to perform, of course, because there's some teams out there that could get you.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm very curious to see how everything plays out.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. So, interesting week. Are you ready, sir, to delve into week 6 of the college football season?
Let's do it.
All right, folks. Well, let's go ahead, folks. We appreciate you guys listening to the show. Week 6 predictions on the Breakdown Sportscast. Our first game, Chris, that we have on the docket. We have Miami taking on Florida State. Miami is a 4.5-point favorite by Vegas. The over-under, Chris, is at 54.5. So, an interesting ball game. Of course, we saw what happened with Florida State last week, losing that game at Virginia, almost getting a near trampling by the fan base out there. They're still reeling after that game. But you in Florida State, you got to bounce back and really showcase something to the crowd out there in Tallahassee that, hey, don't count us out yet. We're still a good football team. You want to show that to the country as well. Don't let one game define the whole season, because you got a big game against the Miami Hurricanes. So a big game indeed, Chris. What are your thoughts about this game as we get set for a wild weekend?
Yeah, I'm hyped. This is growing up, Miami, Florida State, especially I feel like our younger years, because the rivalry did take a bit of a shift with the teams not being as good as they were, especially in the 80s and 90s. But you still had that juice in the 2000s. But this is a rivalry where you're going to get drama, whether it's wide left, wide right. All the games decided by missed field goals at the end. All the swagger that tied into these two programs. Of course, the Miami. I feel like there were people all over the nation. People who've never been to the state of Florida, who were Florida State fans. Just because they like Deion Sanders and watching Bobby Bowden, or people who love Miami. You like Michael Irvin was doing, Ray Lewis, or Andre Johnson. The names go on and on. So it's so much of that mystique tied into this rivalry. And even though Florida State is fresh off a loss, Kory, it's a big game because both of these teams need to win this game, especially if you're trying to win the ACC and get a bid in the ACC championship game and potentially make the playoff. And also recruiting. These are two forces, in the state of Florida. We know the talent pool that the state of Florida is, and you want to prove that you are the premier program in the state. And the portal is great. We love the portal. But the backbone, the core of these teams is high school recruiting. So this is a big matchup in many ways, and should be a crazy one that's going to unfold in front of us on Saturday, Kory.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a big game indeed for both programs that are trying to break through with this season, Chris. Miami 4-0. You already took care of one of your rivals in Florida. This is your second rival in Florida State, in-state rival. Um, a lot of people are already looking at you as being a national champion team, esque team. You definitely have that cachet. You've shown it so far in 4 games of the season. You got to keep showing it this week. So it's gonna be interesting to see, Chris, what happens in this ball game. Look, I'm excited to see Carson Beck and Thomas Castellanos sling the football. And I think that's going to be a big story this weekend. Who's going to have the more juice in this ball game? Because you're going to have two great quarterbacks in the ACC duel against one another. Who's going to come out in the end? If I had to put something on it, Chris, I'm kind of leaning towards Miami finding a way to win this ball game, Chris. And I don't think it's just going to be because of their offense. Their defense, Ruben Bain Jr., all those guys, they're just so good, Chris. They find ways to win. They find ways to take the air out of the football against the opposing team and win ball games. And look, we thought LSU had championship defense, and look, they still do have good defense, but that offense has just been atrocious to the point where they haven't showcased that they're the complete package of what we see in a championship caliber team in college football. Miami's that. They definitely have it. And if I had to put something on this game, Chris, I'm putting it on Miami to win it. I'm putting it on them to find a way to seal the deal and get the victory in this ball game. So the score, I'm going to go ahead and say Miami wins this one 28-21. I think it's going to be close,
Nah.
but I think
Okay.
Miami wins.
It's respectable. This game is at Florida State, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the Seminole fans will be, rowdy when that place is going, especially at night too. It's quite the scene. So we'll see how Miami handles that environment with all the emotions that surround this game. Because on paper, I feel like Miami is a much better team. We talked about their offensive line play and defensive line play already. Probably the best combination when you look at just how good the O line and D lines both are for Miami. It's hard to find a team with as good of O lines and defensive lines. And when you look at the rest of the college football landscape, Miami's just been dominant, getting Carson Beck all day. And then at the same respect on the defensive side, whether it's pass rush or stopping the run, you can't run the ball against Miami. These guys, they just, like you say, they foil your whole offensive plan. Ruben Bain Jr. is playing his way into, I feel like, the top 10 player in the NFL draft coming up in April.
He's really good.
He's the real deal. He's the real deal. When he's healthy, because he wasn't healthy last season,
Mm-hmm.
you see the impact he has on this team. So I feel like Miami's defense would have been completely different if he was able to go last year, like the way he's been playing now. So yeah, I feel like Miami should win. I'll say a 10-point victory. I'm thinking more like a 34-24 win with potential to. It could be interesting. You can't count out Castellanos. You can't count out Florida State, a team that had a chip on his shoulder in week one and went out and showed the world what they can do. And sometimes a loss can reset that chip. And we'll see how they respond after losing. Uh, I think Miami probably would have preferred Florida State to win. You never want to be the team right after a dangerous team loses because they're going to come in 110% locked in and ready to beat you. I think Florida State will be ready from kickoff, which makes for us to be able to have a great game that we'll watch. But I'm gonna give the edge to Miami and say the Hurricanes establish that the U is back with a 10-point win.
Nice, nice. Yeah, Chris. Look, this is gonna be a fun game. I can't wait to watch this one. It's a 6:30 kickoff game on ABC. So, yeah, this is gonna be, in the words of Jim Ross. Look, Oklahoma ain't got nothing to do with this game, but this is gonna be a slobber knocker of every proportions.
It should be. It should be. Hopefully we get the game we deserve.
Yeah.
We deserve a great one, especially with both of these teams playing the ball that they played this season.
Right, right. So yeah, yeah. I can't wait to watch this game, Chris. Yeah, I just looking at it, just kind of on the tail of the tape. Earl Little Jr., Ruben Bain Jr., the battle of the juniors. You know you're gonna get some good defense when you got some juniors out there, making some tackles.
Look, and we said before, they got a single digit on their jersey, and they play D-line. Watch out.
Exactly.
Ruben Bain got that number 4 on, so hey, that tells you what you need to know.
I agree. I agree. Like, yeah, this is, if you love some defensive football, some defensive matchups in college football, this your game, right?
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see how does Miami D-line contain Thomas Castellanos. You want to make him a passer. I feel like Miami feels a lot more comfortable if Thomas is making plays with his arm rather than his legs in this
one. Agreed. So, I mean, look, they're going to have to figure that out, Chris, because you look up after, blinking the other direction, this guy's gone. Thomas Castellanos is a really fast quarterback, really fast football player, I should say. So, yeah, you're going to have to keep your eyes on this guy, where he goes at all times, because if you don't, you're looking the other way, he can beat you. He's already down the field going for a touchdown. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they figure all that out.
Agreed.
So, yeah, man. But should be a great game, Chris. Anything else you want to add about this game before we move on?
I'm good.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on along, Chris. This game, Clemson heading to North Carolina. Yeah, folks. Not the game you expected. We meant to do that here on the Breakdown Sportscast. Clemson opens up as a 14.5 point favorite, Chris. Over-under is at 46.5. So, two teams that are desperate for wins, desperate to figure out something about their teams this season. Clemson, I would say, has it worse than North Carolina, because this is a year for Bill Belichick to try to rebuild North Carolina. This is his first year. He's never been in a college football setting coaching as a head coach. A lot of things that are new going on at North Carolina. Clemson, on the other hand, you had all of these expectations shot down, and you're now looking at the drawing board now. It is the drawing board for you. And you got this game against the Tar Heels coming up this weekend. What does Clemson look like, Chris? At this point, I can't tell you. What are we going to get this week? What are we going to get this week from Dabo's squad? Are we going to get a fired up Clemson football team that wants to make good on this season? Or, are we going to just get this same sleepy Clemson team that has a hard time winning football games. Like, you're 1-3, Chris. Do you even care at this point? What are your thoughts?
That's a great question. Um, I mean, if you see North Carolina play this year, Kory, you know how bad this team is, and I'm just over here trying to fathom in my mind, despite how terrible Clemson has been, did they really let North Carolina pull up on them and beat them this week? Um, you feel like Dabo Swinney should be able to rally the troops coming off of this. They're coming out of a bye week, so you feel like Clemson should play much better. You've had some time to try to figure some things out. But based on what we've seen this season, Kory, I just can't trust that will be the case. I think we're going to have a game. And that's saying something because North Carolina is bad, especially offensively. They are one of the worst offenses in power four football. Like, this offense is atrocious. They are ranked statistically in several categories in the 100s.
It's not good.
That tells you all you need to know. And there's like 132 teams in college football, I think, Kory, in D1 ball. So you don't want to be ranked in the hundreds.
No, not at all. That's the last place you want to end up at.
But it's been rough for North Carolina this season offensively. On paper, you shouldn't be able to run the ball against Clemson. The D-line has been the strength of their defense. But you may be able to figure some things out against this secondary. So we'll see if North Carolina can figure some things out. And we'll see if Clemson can do the same. The team hasn't been able to run the football. K. Klubnik has not been the guy that he was built up to be, nor the guy who played like last season. But I'm going to say Clemson gets the win. I'm going to say Clemson wins by 11. I'm going to say it's like a 35-24 kind of game. It may be interesting in the first half. I think Clemson still, finds a way to win by 2 possessions. Don't be shocked if this is a weird game. And North Carolina somehow gets their mojo, looks the best they've looked all season, and messes around and even beats Clemson. It's not impossible. I can't pick it, but I won't rule it
out. I'm telling you, Chris, I was looking at this game earlier before we started recording. I'm like, look, this game got Bolton's bets all over. It is Bolton's bets personified. Just because I don't know what's going to happen in this game, but man, does it look entertaining.
It does look entertaining. If you know something that Vegas don't know, go ahead and take the points because Clemson's been bad, and they low-key have this spread off of reputation.
I know, they're really just the 14.5 is like just out of spite at this point. Like, look, they're throwing Vegas is throwing Clemson a bone, a huge bone, just by history. At this point, that's all Clemson is hanging on to is history at this point, because the history that they're making this season is all time bad. I don't think we've never seen a Clemson team that struggled this much. And hey,
even in their one win against Troy, you were down 16-0 at half. You had to come back in the second half.
Unacceptable. and you've heard it from the Clemson fans. Like, they're just at a loss with how bad this team is. A team that had college football playoff aspirations in the preseason, Chris. Now 1-3. There is no playoffs. At this point, you're just trying to hang your head high in the hopes that you can make it into a bowl game. That's what your goal. Trying to get to a bowl game. And it's not going to be easy at all. So I look at Clemson and say that there's a possibility that they could win. I could say they could win this game 17-10. But hey, who knows? Bill Belichick could, get a rabbit out of the hat. Find a way to muster up a victory. I would not put it past them. This game is very interesting, Chris, just because the winner of this game definitely has an opportunity to pretty much, create something out of this season. North Carolina, they haven't been, amazing either. They lost their opener against TCU in the beginning of the season. So, they're trying to find themselves as well down there in Chapel Hill. So, hey, I'm gonna stick with what I said, Chris. 17-10. I think Clemson squeezes out of this game with a victory, but it won't be easy, and it damn sure won't be pretty. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, it could be very entertaining on the vantage point of wow, Carolina's still in the game. It might not be the prettiest game, but just sitting there, you can't take your eyes off it because it's like, wow, they got a chance. They might even be in the lead at some points, Kory. So this will be this has the potential to be quite the spectacle if we see a Bill Belichick masterclass on display. But I'm with you. I'm gonna side with the Tigers. I will give Clemson the benefit of the doubt, just because I have yet to see even anything from North Carolina to give me faith that they will get the win. But it's college football, and anything's possible.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Chris. Definitely is going to be interesting to see what happens in this ball game. But man, in getting a game like this, it's so college football when you get to see games like this because you got two coaches right here in Dabo and Bill Belichick. Like I said, trying to figure things out, trying to not, let the tires, come off the car. Not you don't want to be sleep at the wheel because the loser loses this game. Man, they're gonna be right in the ditch somewhere, asking
Especially
for Triple A.
Clemson.
Yeah, I know. So
some people will be ready to riot.
Oh yeah,
you lost to this North Carolina team. Oh man, we ain't even the best team of the Carolinas. North Carolina better than us. Oh yeah, they gonna be sick, Kory. You can't lose this one.
The emergency streams will be on display in the Clemson crowd if they don't win this game. I think if you're North Carolina, you lose this game. I think it is. It's kind of been what it's been so far. Mm-hmm. You need a lot that needs to be done. You need a quarterback. You need a whole team, to be honest with you. But if you're Clemson, you lose this game. Oh yeah, the gloves from the fan base, they're coming off. Like to some people, they already came off. But you're really gonna be hearing it from the media down there in Clemson. So it's gonna be an interesting ball game, Chris. What's your score? Did you mention what your score was?
Yeah, 35-24.
35-24. Okay. So all right. So yeah, it should be an interesting one indeed, Chris. We'll definitely be talking about it on our results show on Sunday.
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything else you want to add to this game before we move on? All right.
I'm good.
Sounds good. Sounds good, partner. Well, moving along, Chris, we have Texas A&M hosting Mississippi State. The line has Texas A&M, Chris, 16 and a half. Over under is at 55 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So, a big game in College Station. Mississippi State coming to town. Look, we know what happened to the Bulldogs last weekend against Tennessee, losing that heartbreaking game against the Volunteers. Almost had Tennessee, but Joe Aguilar and company found a way to squeeze out of Starkville with a victory. And hey, this team, Chris, like we had talked about it last week, and like we've been talking about it, of course, just in the background. This team's for real. This is a way better Mississippi State football club than a lot of people had anticipated. And a lot of people, I mean, the SEC media days, a lot of people in the media were already counting Mississippi State dead last in the league. So this year, they're 4-1, going to College Station. Blake Shapen, he's been getting sacked a lot, as far as we know right now, in the injury report, which is why this line right now is at 16 and a half. Albert Reese, their left tackle, he's going to be out of this game. And right now, as far as I've heard, is that Brendan Thompson and a few other people, Brendan Thompson, their star wide receiver, he's probable. So Brendan Thompson probable. Albert Reese is questionable. Last thing I heard. So overall, that's a little bit.
I want to say Smith as well at safety.
Yeah, Isaac Smith is.
Isaac Smith.
I think he's probable as well. Last time I saw on the depth chart. So you got your star players. One guy on the line, one guy on your offense, and one guy on your defense. It's your defensive leader. One of them. Potentially not going to play in this game. That's a bummer if you're a Mississippi State Bulldog fan heading into this game against A&M, who's, for the most part, they've started to find themselves, Chris. They've started to gel. You see the offense making plays. You got Mario Craver, a guy that used to be at Mississippi State last year, making plays for the Aggies. Casey Concepcion, he's starting to come into his own. So, A&M with the little 1-2 punch with KC and Mario out there in College Station. So, you have those guys. We can already, talk about, how Le'Veon Moss has been for A&M. Just a stud at the running back position. Been very, very good for the Aggies these last couple of years. This is an interesting ball game, Chris. And just in terms of their defense, they've played well. They've started to gel and become a better defense. And, Mike Elko, being a defensive coach, that's what he wants out of his squad. So, so far, A&M has been playing some really good football. If I had to put a score on it, I'd say A&M has the potential to win this ball game. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily just say, clear cut after what I've seen from Mississippi State that, it's going to be a mauling. But you do have some guys out for the most part. So that doesn't really bode well for Mississippi State. But if you're A&M, you can take advantage of that. And that's why if I had to put a score on it, I'm going to say A&M wins this game 35 to 21. I think they'll eventually run away with it in the fourth quarter and potentially keep the winning going over there at A&M. At that point, they'll be 5-0. riding high. So, overall, Chris,
Yeah,
what are your thoughts about this game?
interesting game. I'm curious to see where Mississippi State's mental is at after a game that you, quite frankly, feel like you should have won. Shouldn't even have gone to OT. But the offensive line play reared its ugly head and created a play in a wild sequence after you convert a fake punt, you turn around next play, give up a sack that leads to a scoop and score fumble for Tennessee, change the whole game. Um, Outside of that, though, Mississippi State, you feel like, man, we had that one. And so I'm curious to see how resilient this team is. Will be tough going into an environment like the 12th man, but kind of fortunately, A&M has shown that they can struggle in offense too. Was an ugly win against Auburn. A lot of work to be done, and they didn't have the explosives. Wasn't the high scoring game. And if there's anything that Mississippi State can do when the blocking is right, it's create the explosives. And I feel like in this one, we have learned how big of a playmaker Fluff Brothwell is. And if Mississippi State can get the running game going, that's only going to help this offensive line even more in creating those explosives. And there's a chance you can get some plays over the top. And if that's the case, and now you put the pressure on A&M and Marcel Reed to execute, it's gonna be quite the interesting game. I feel like Mississippi State can play with A&M. I struggle to pick State to win just because I don't know if they are built to win on the road in a game like this yet. And this is their chance to prove that they can. I'm going to say A&M wins. A tight one, 27-24. I think Mississippi State will give the Aggies problems, quite possibly draw blood first and get ahead to start the game. But I'm gonna give A&M the benefit of the doubt at home, and that they find a way to get another victory. But State will continue to prove just how improved this team is, and that they are a tough out for everybody in the conference.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely in the ballpark with where you're at, partner. I think overall A&M coming into this game is going to be the better team, better squad. But I won't count out Mississippi State to definitely showcase some weaknesses that maybe A&M still needs to clean up as the season progresses. And look, I think I've heard a lot of people this week talk about where A&M is at in terms of team wise, how they've improved, and they have improved. But are they? Do they have all the kinks out yet? I don't think they do. I do think that there's still a little bit of shakiness with this A&M squad being 4-0 right now. Even that they're still not where they would like to be. I think you're still going to see that in this ball
Especially
game.
defensively.
Yes, yeah, like they're not all the way elite with their secondary. There is a little bit of leaks there. There's some cracks, and hey, if you're Mississippi State, I'm sure if you're Jeff Lebby, you would love to have a healthy Brendan Thompson in this game. And who knows, he may actually play in this game if he's ready. I mean, he's probable. Sometimes guys that are probable end up getting the start. So, if you're A&M right now, you're trying to kind of navigate through that and anticipate probably if the guy plays, if you see a Brendan Thompson out there, that secondary is going to have to be prepared for that. Are they? We'll see. We'll see what happens. you know who you have to play, who's healthy, but you're also running against the depth chart as well, Chris. That's
Yeah,
just how it is.
yeah. No, definitely. And I think I'll say this: if Mississippi State wins, you definitely hit some explosives, Kory. But I feel like the X factor, the player that will continue to be beloved by Bulldog fans more and more is Fluff.
Yeah.
Fluff will if State wins, he probably had 23 carries, 140 yards, and a TD or two. Like he dominated the line of scrimmage and was getting yards and made it possible for those explosives to happen because he had to respect what this running attack was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a player I'm keeping my eyes on to really be an impact in this game. And also for A&M, Mario Craver. It's a revenge game going up against his old team. So I'm sure A&M will have him schemed up to try to make some big plays in this one. The state secondary has been really pretty solid, really good this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious to see how that matchup looks. You know, you had your struggles against some of those big body guys at Tennessee. These receivers are different. These aren't big body receivers at A&M. So I'm wondering how this matchup will work against Mississippi State secondary. So there's a lot to look at in this one.
It is. I think that's what makes this game so interesting. Is that even with the injuries, you still have some guys on this Mississippi State squad that are like they're definitely game changers as opposed to what you had last year. You know, you just had a bunch of guys, but you know they weren't playing team football last season. This team, you got a bevy of guys now. You got Manning out there. Hunter Washington's been playing some really good football right now. You know, it's interesting to see how this team has been performing. Hey, you got true freshman Tyler Lockhart out there at linebacker making some plays. So it's just a bevy of players out there that are definitely making plays for their defense for Mississippi State. So it's going to be interesting to see how Levy and especially Coleman Hustler, defensive coordinator, how he draws up some plays to potentially try to knock Marcel Reed off of his routes. As he's back there trying to get downfield for the Aggies. So yeah, I'm excited about this ball game. I think A&M definitely has a little bit more in the tank, but I think if you're Mississippi State, you're still trying to grow. You're still trying to find some guys and keep these guys upbeat and prepared each and every week. That way that they're not quitting on you. And I think Levy has a really good squad this year that's not going to quit on them. That's why I'm very high about this football team this year, Chris. You and I.
Agreed.
So, yeah. Well, yeah, man, we'll definitely see what happens with this game. Should be a fun one still. Even with A&M having all of the players. So it's definitely going to be interesting to talk about this game on Sunday.
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything else you want to add to this game, Chris, before we move into Bolton's bets for Week 6?
Now let's keep it rolling.
All right. Well, folks, we are now at Bolton's bets for Week 6. You want to make you a little extra cash, of course. Chris, first game on the docket, Vanderbilt heading to T-Town College. Game day is also going to be there on Saturday. Alabama, the line right now for Alabama is at 10.5. Over under is at 55.5. So who you got, Chris? Well, we can look at it right now. You got Vanderbilt taking the points.
Taking the points. Yeah, I'm not necessarily going to say Vanderbilt wins, even though they can. I would be shocked if they won. But when you look at Alabama, coming off the impressive win against Georgia. This is a spot for them to have a down game. We saw it, let me think, last year, Kory, the same exact scenario where they went to Vandy and dropped a deuce. And Vandy, got the win, let alone cover.
The Diego Pavia coming out party.
Exactly. He put his name on the map for the nation to know. This Vanderbilt team is even better than last year's team. This Vanderbilt team is a dark horse playoff contender. This Vanderbilt team in this SEC environment could make the SEC championship game. And you're giving me a buffer of 10 points against an Alabama team that's coached by Kalen DeBoer, who respectfully, even in his best seasons, he's in a lot of close games. Like, let's be for real. Kalen DeBoer games be real on edge. We remember Alabama last year, close game against South Carolina. Found a way to win. Close game against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt wins. You lay an egg on the road at Oklahoma. Close game against Georgia.
2 years
Honestly,
in a row. If you want to get a little technical about it, I mean, last week was a little closer than maybe it should have been.
A close game, low key against Auburn, and that was a bad Auburn team. So it's just a little bit of a theme that we're kind of riding with here and putting respect on Vanderbilt's name. Of course, Alabama holds the talent edge. If Alabama plays the peak Alabama powers, they very well can cover the spread. I just feel like the chances and odds are leaning closer to a highly contested, down to the wire finish for a Vanderbilt team and a Clark Lee-led coaching staff that has proven itself to be one of the best game planners, schemers in the nation. And I like what Clark Lee is doing. I'm gonna give them their flowers. So I say Vandy, take the points, but very well the possibility that they can mess around and get the win outright.
Yeah, I mean, look, I won't count Vandy out, Chris. Like, look, I've seen them the last couple of weeks now. They look dominant. Like, even in that game, who was it? Against Utah State. Utah State was kind of, tussling with Vanderbilt. Nah, it mattered in the end. Like Vandy, they are a well-built program that can handle the adversity that comes their way. Alabama going into Tuscaloosa, Bryant-Denny Stadium. We know how that stadium gets, Chris. One of the great college football venues in America. I think a guy like Diego Pavia, he lives and breathes for that moment. Heck, even this week, Chris, the guy that's going to be on the side of Vanderbilt this weekend, Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel's going to be there this week, Chris. Like, look, just hearing that, you gotta give your Bolton's bets to Vanderbilt. Like, you can't count them out at all when you got a guy like Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football out there, and then you got Diego Pavia. Yeah, showing his support for Diego Pavia and this Commodore squad. Like, look, if they win that game, Chris, if they were able to knock off Alabama, and look, I'm saying it right now, I think it's definitely possible. I won't put anything past Vandy. It's going to be insane in Nashville, and it's going to be insane in Tuscaloosa for a bevy of other reasons. And we will be right on this show talking about it on our live show on Sunday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, yep, that's the first one we got. That's who I'm rolling with on that one.
Okay.
Let's go Doors.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Chris, let's go ahead to the next game. We have Wisconsin traveling to Michigan. Michigan is a 17.5 point favorite. Over under is at 43.5. You got Michigan in this one. Tell us why.
I got Michigan covering because I saw Wisconsin play against Maryland. And boy, Wisconsin is bad. This is a bad Wisconsin team.
They stink.
And Michigan, they stink. And Michigan's only going to continue to get better, I feel like, when you have a young quarterback continuing to get reps. And they're at home. I think this Michigan team should run circles around Wisconsin. It should be a dominant win. It should be a blowout victory. Michigan's tough on defense. Wisconsin has looked inept on offense. Michigan has a dynamic running attack. Wisconsin has no attack on defense. I saw Maryland do things against them that I just like, wow, that shouldn't happen, but it happened. So it's just a system play. I feel like Michigan is a much better team this year, and chances are that they take care of business against Wisconsin.
Yeah, look, I think this Michigan team has been playing some pretty good football. They put their head down, got into the lab, definitely been, working towards something this season. I mean, Bryce Underwood, heck of a player, young player, of course. He's going to get better with time. I think that's what, we're looking at with this Michigan squad. You're going to have those growing pains with a first-year quarterback, but I don't think he's going to have any problems at all with taking down Wisconsin this weekend. Just because Wisconsin they've been bad. And, you already have people talking about, look, how long does Luke Fickell have?
The rumbles are already started. That tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah. Like, think about it, Chris. Fickell, he was like one of the hottest coaches in America a couple years ago. Fast track to now. Like, man, he's on that hot seat. And that's unfortunate. Because I still feel like I believe in what Luke Fickell preaches in terms of making, good teams. But I think when it comes down to Wisconsin, I think it probably just wasn't a good fit in the end.
Yeah. That's what it looks like. So I think the Wolverines will take advantage, and it might be another splattering for the Wolverines.
Yeah. I'm leaning towards your direction, sir. I think this is going to be a big day for the Michigan Wolverines. Not so much of a good one if you're a Badger fan. You probably gonna want to, watch something else.
Yeah, you'll probably look at keep tabs at the score, but you probably won't let your eyes see what happens in this one.
Exactly. So yeah, Chris. So we have Michigan. We have Michigan in that one. Should be a fun game for the Wolverines, I should say. Moving along, Chris, we have Oklahoma taking on Kent State. OU's a 44.5 point favorite. Over unders at 53.5. Of course, we know about Mateer. He's going to be out for a few weeks with hand surgery. Was it hand surgery or thumb surgery?
Yeah.
I
believe it was the hand.
In his throwing hand, by the way. So he's going to be out. He should be back enough in time for some of the big games coming up. Of course, we got Red River Rivalry going to be coming up potentially in a week or two. 2 weeks?
I believe it's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think Oklahoma has the bye week next week, and then coming out the bye, you play Texas.
Yeah. So, they're gonna have. They're definitely gonna have a bye. No, it's gonna be next week.
Next week, okay.
It's gonna be next week.
I thought they had a bye.
No, they had their bye week last week.
Okay.
So they're back off their bye, and
And this is their pseudo bye by playing Kent State.
what do you know? So I would guess that John Mateer is going to be back next week to play in Red River, and that's going to be a big one, Chris. But overall, in terms of this game, you got Oklahoma winning big in this one.
Yeah, I mean, no John Mateer, no problem. If you don't mind, Kory, click on Kent State. Just read to the people how the season has fared for Kent State against Power 4 teams this season.
I am on it right now, sir, and
because this team has played a few Power 4 schools, notable Power 4 schools, and have notably had the games go very terribly for them.
So, after defeating Merrimack 21-17, I don't even know where Merrimack is at. I have to look that up just for fun. And that game was just 21-17. So that just shows you how much Kent State talent pool is over there.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to Texas Tech 62-14. Lost to Buffalo 31-28. Buffalo's a good G5 team. They'll get you sometimes. And went to Florida State and lost that one 66-10. So there's a pattern, Chris.
There's a pattern here. Whenever they play some of these teams with legitimate talent, and Oklahoma has SEC talent, especially defensively. I wouldn't be surprised if Oklahoma scored a couple of defensive TDs in this one, Kory. I don't care who's at quarterback. This was going to get out of hand. They just won't be able to hang with the athletes at the line of scrimmage, on the outside. Oklahoma should have their way. It should get ugly. Oklahoma should probably even come closer to pitching a shutout. Even when the backups come in, I'd be surprised if they give up more than 10 points in this one. I think this bad boy is going to be it's going to be Oregon, Oklahoma State vibes. It might mess around and be like 62-3.
Look, I'm with you. I think you just gonna have to look. Kent State fans, you just gonna have to turn your head, watch something else. Put on some Netflix if you're at the stadium, or if you ain't at the stadium. I think you can watch something else that's a little bit more productive and it doesn't destroy your enjoyment for the weekend. So yeah, Oklahoma definitely gonna win big because they got a big one at the State Fair, Chris. Texas State Fair, Red River rivalry, Red River shootout. I love it. I know they don't call it that anymore, which is
that's what we call it.
Yeah, that's what we call it here on the Breakdown Sportscast. Red River shootout. So yeah, Oklahoma winning big, Chris. And finally, we'll go ahead and talk about Texas. They have to travel to Gainesville, Florida, Chris, to take on DJ Lagway and company. Texas, the line right now, Chris, has Texas 4.5. Over under is at 42.5. Chris, you got Florida making some moves in this game.
I know it sounds crazy, but the Vegas is the lines is getting wise to this one. Texas by only 4.5, and people be like, "Why? Texas is a highly ranked team. Shouldn't they be predicted to win this game by much more?" No, because its offense is inept. Still MIA. We're still looking for it, Kory. Florida's had quite the schedule that they have played. And Texas has played nobodies and has yet to look impressive against nobodies. There's one thing I know with this Florida team, it is that their defense is legitimate. It's one of the better units in the SEC, one of the better units in the country. And Arch Manning has had his struggles against cupcakes at home. Boy, is he in for it on the road, I must say, at the Swamp against this defense. And who's to say DJ Lagway won't play a better game? Florida's had some time off to be able to figure some things out. And I think the Gators will play much better this week. It's going to be an ugly one, Kory. I see an ugly Florida win coming. I'm calling it now. The Gators, despite all the noise, despite everybody calling for Billy Napier's job, Billy Napier throws a monkey wrench in the plans of getting him out of here because he messes around and gets a signature win for the season. 20-17 walk-off field goal for the Gators at home in a defensive battle. It won't be pretty to watch. The only people watching this game will be the fan bases involved because it ain't going to be beautiful. It's going to be an ugly one. You'll see much better football elsewhere, but you won't be able to take your eyes off it if you're a Florida or Texas fan because it's going to keep you on edge in a bad way. But the Gators, somehow, some way, Lagway plays better, doesn't turn the ball over, which is the key thing. And the Gators will force turnovers and put Florida's offense in vantage points where they can only have to go 30, 40, 50 yards to score rather than the entire length of the field. That will be a key in this one. If you give Florida a short field, I think the defense will make plays to give Florida a short field at least a couple times in this game. Then the Gators take advantage, eke out a victory.
That's an interesting take, Chris. Look, looking at this game, and I've been thinking about it off and on all week, but looking at it now as we're getting closer to Saturday, I don't think this is going to be a game I can't take my eyes off. I like whether it's good, it's just going to be a great offensive matchup somehow, or it's just going to be a great defensive matchup. I can't take my eyes off of this game, Chris. I will not allow myself to, because this is the epitome of a great football game with a lot of high stakes on the line and two rabid fan bases. One that I'm privileged to be around, and another one that you're privileged to not too far be around. Yeah, this is gonna be epic, Chris. No one's really like too much talking about this game because I think everyone's kind of like set their sights on what it is, like who's the better team, who has the potential of beating who, and that's Texas. But I get what you're saying, Chris. I wouldn't hang my hat on that so much. I think Florida, they definitely needed that bye week, Chris, and I think this line is because of that bye week. To be honest with you, they needed it, and who's to say we may see a different Florida team come time this ball game happens.
We didn't see them quit last year. This team kept fighting last season. I know it's been tough, but I don't think that's in Florida's makeup to quit yet.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And look, if you're a Florida fan and you've already said your piece on Billy Napier and what you think about this team in terms of their tenacity. If they were to win this game, like what do you say now? Like, be honest with you. And I know there's gonna be some people just being like, whatever, like whatever. I just need the head coach out of here. Like, you just beat Texas. You beat Arch Manning. Can you have a little bit of hope in this team?
The fans will be back in if they win.
I think
They'll
so.
be back in.
I think they would. just because It's the Florida way. Like, look, you lose some games and then you get a big one, and everyone's happy again. Like, we saw how people were last season in Florida beating LSU, in Florida beating Ole Miss. That Ole Miss game was definitely the epitome of a team that had turned things around, because they fought like hell to get back in that one, and they did. How fitting would it be if they do the same this weekend? That's all I'm saying.
No, you know how I feel. I got the Gators finding a way, and then on the other side of the coin, Kory, who would have thought Texas going into the Red River Shootout would have 2 losses on their record? If that's the case, that's big. That's big. 2 L's for Texas in a game that, if I had to pick right now, I'm not picking them to beat Oklahoma. I don't care who's quarterbacking.
No, and look, I know we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, Chris. Who's to say if Texas loses this game against Florida, and you have a season-defining game, which is the Red River rivalry. You lose that game, like, what does that say about that team? What does that say about Sark? And how invested are people going to be with their
People
Texas
will
team?
be upset, boy. I know Sark made the playoffs, but people will be very upset if this team is an 8-win, 7-win team. And if you lose this game, your schedule is lining up to where it doesn't get any easier, buddy.
No, it doesn't. So, yeah, look, all I can say, Chris, is I'm excited about this ball game. I can't wait to see what happens. Like I said, I'm not taking my eyes off of it.
A lot at stake with this one, with so little at stake. It's not like it's a national championship, like both teams are in the top 10, battling, jockeying for playoff spots. But if Texas or Florida loses, whoever loses this one, boy, their fan base, you're gonna hear about it on Saturday.
Absolutely. And you're going to hear about it from us, too, on Sunday. Best believe that. That's all I got to say. Oh, man. So yeah, Chris, a great week of games. Some great picks on Bolton's bets this week. Definitely, folks out there, if you're of that ilk, trying to make yourself some money, definitely try to go for the juggler this week. See what you can squeeze out.
Just put a couple pennies down.
Yeah,
See what happens.
Yeah, that's all. So yeah, man, should be a fun one, Chris. Week 6. Can't wait to talk about it on our Sunday live show as we break down all of these games and seeing what happened over the weekend. So yeah, man. But yeah, another great show, Chris. Another great show, folks. We appreciate you guys listening to the show as always. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, of course. As we get out of here, we got some outros. Chris, start with you, good sir. Let the good folks know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, you can find me on X at Chris_Bolton_12, or as I like to call it, Twitter, forever and always, and on Instagram at Chris.Bolton_. Holla at your boy.
Awesome. And yeah, folks, you can find me on X at Listen to KSW. When they're talking college football, of course, professional wrestling, all of that great jazz. So yeah, definitely follow me on there. But yeah, guys, we will be back, like I said, on our live Sunday show. Chris and I talking about everything that happened in week 6 of the college football season. So be sure to be tuned into that. And as always, guys, leave a like, of course, comment, subscribe. Let us know what your favorite game is in week 6. And we'll definitely chime in with you all then. But until next time, I'm Kory Willis. He's Chris Bolton. You are listening to the Breakdown Sportscast. We will chat with y'all later. Peace.
Peace.